Hello, folks. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. Hope you're having a good day. What we're going to talk about is economics. There are some things that everyone needs to know about economics. If you want to grow economy, it's very simple. Everybody that is in the economy is involved. Money comes to this hand, and it comes in, and then with this hand it goes back out as each transaction is made. And what happens is that each transaction doubles the economy. And so the more that economy moves, the more velocity that you create, the larger the economy will become. It's very simple. It involves businesses. It involves individuals. It involves stores. It involves all kinds of aspects. And every time that a transaction is made, it grows the economy. Now, there is a second way of looking at economy, and that is that you pool your money into this pool, and when that happens, it's the government that does it, and it's all pooled right here into this pot. What happens to all those dollars? Well, they stop moving. The velocity discontinues. Now, two things happen to that money when it comes into the till like that. First of all, some of the people that are in the government steal some of that money. And that money oftentimes goes offshore. And many times it does not come back into the country's economy for years at a time. Maybe a generation or two before some of that money actually comes back to the economy of your country. And so you have to be very careful about that. But the second thing is that as all of those dollars are in the kitty, and even though they are moved out eventually, it has slowed the economy. When the government collects money, it shrinks the economy. So when you and I are making transactions in here, out there, in here, out there, when we do that, we are creating economy. And creating economy is one of the most important things that you can do for an economy. If that does not happen, then the economy cannot go. The economy eventually dies. I've heard many things that people say about the various phases of an economy. And the economy has all of these different phases where it grows and grows, and then it starts to slow, and then eventually it dies, kind of like the 4 seasons of the year, and so on. Simply speaking, when the economy is not allowed to use velocity, when it is not allowed to use all of the money in transactions, it causes parts of the economy to slow. And the reason that it does that is because of the fact that transaction is essentially the most important thing you can have in economy. One of the reasons why I do not care for socialism and communism and all of these other isms is because of the fact that they all want to pool money. Now, you pool your money, and the first thing that happens is that nobody is able to control the people in the government itself. And because of the fact that there are no controls over those people, they're free to do what they want. One of the things that was real bad in our country, not only would they put the money together, but they would also go ahead and take what money they wanted out of the various clumpings of the money and put it in their secret accounts, and then they would use it abroad. And that was kind of a ridiculous thing. But there were no checks and balances to stop Congress and even some of the administrations from doing that. And so it became a real problem. And then you add to that the fact that there were so many controls on the economy that it would slow transactions down. And that was a bad thing. One of the things that I thought was the saddest thing that I ever heard. Now, I have told you a few times about different things that Bill Clinton has said. One of the things that really, really upset me was when I heard him saying government spending is too low, we need to raise it. So therefore, we're going to raise taxes so that we'll have more money as a government to spend. Okay, what was he doing? He was pooling the money together, not allowing those dollars to be used to grow economy. And therefore, he was actually slowing the economy down. Government never, ever grows economy. There is nothing that the government can do to create economy. And the reason is because they do not produce anything. And unfortunately, in the governments where they do produce something, there is so much control over the people and over the people's ability to make the transactions necessary to make the economy grow, that the economy dies. There are countries out there, especially a lot of the older countries in Europe, who have had to restart their economy 30, 40, 50, 60 times. Why? Because of the fact that the government people could not keep their hands off the money. They needed to collect as much of it as they could. Now, in the last video, we talked about the fact that the kings had to collect the taxes every year. The reason was they had handlers. And we also talked about the fact that presidents have handlers. And if they don't collect the money and give that money to the bankers that are in control, then what happens? Well, then that king or that president is suddenly dead, and somebody else takes his place. And that is how it has always worked throughout history. Thank God we have an administration that is going to stop the banking system. We are actually going to get to a point where banks will no longer be necessary. You will have a card in your wallet, and that is all you are going to need. You will be able to invest, you'll be able to buy houses, you'll be able to buy cars, you'll be able to do everything with that card. And when you invest, you are going to be able to amass a lot of money because of the fact that they are going to simplify investing so that you can understand all of the parts of it, because they are going to want each of us to be millionaires and billionaires so that we do not have to ever depend on a banking system again, a bunch of crooks that do not have the interest of the people in their minds. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers, and I hope you have a good day. And the way to do that is through good prayers. And your good prayers, if they reach the throne of God, well, that's your key. You're going to have a good day. And so with that being said, you have a